It will start.
Our conversations are meant to help us better understand this world that we live in, and we come from an atheist perspective. And part of our mission is to normalize open atheism in the same way society accepts open religion. We believe respectful dialogue is essential. These discussions are not about fiery rhetoric, but about honest ideas, shared experiences, and building comfort with open conversation. While we think it's important to teach children to think for themselves and to develop critical thinking skills, this show is aimed at adults. Sometimes the themes and languages are adult in nature. Please use your own discretion when watching or listening with your family.
And now, making their way to the studio, recently voted smarter than they look, it's the Unholy Roundtable!
Let's do it.
Hey, welcome back to the Unholy Roundtable, or welcome if this is your very first time. I am Mike Smithcall, the host of the Unholy Roundtable and the Atheistville channel. So with us tonight, we've got a couple of different guests. You guys have all been on the show, so we'll just kind of go around my screen here. I've got the other Mike, because I am Mike, and he's the other Mike. We've got Scott B. and Larry. And we've got Cynthia joining. She's running a little bit late from another engagement, but she will be here later. And another God that you cannot see, you cannot hear, but you'll have to just trust us that they're there. That's MJ in the producer's chair, keeping this show from going to hell. So welcome to the group. Incidentally, feel free to join in on the conversation. We're going to go for some different things that we've discussed and different things that have come up. But if you have a question, this is a live show, so put your question right there in the comments, and we will get to them as soon as we can. So, what's up, guys? How are you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Doing
Lazy
real good.
day.
Good. Lazy day. We had a big party at my house last night for the people here in Chicago. Larry was one of them. Larry, what we say? We left around. You guys left around 1 o'clock with 4 or 5 other people at the same time. So, and none of us are kids. So, 1 a.m. leaving a party. Was, like, all
1
right,
a.m.
you're done.
1 a.m. is close to my normal wake up time. So
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm more likely to get closer to 1 a.m. than I am to go to bed. I remember when my wife and I were younger, and not even super younger, but in our 40s even, there were some parties we would go to that started at 10 o'clock. You know, I would go, Scott, you and I are both actors. We would do shows, and I would leave the show and then go to the party, you know? And that was like, oh, I'm not going anywhere till 10. Then who goes out, right?
Yeah, you weren't done pre-gaming until 9:30.
Right. Now it's like, all right, it's 10 o'clock. You know?
Yeah.
Was it we're all old enough. You guys remember Houdini, the band Houdini from the 80s? What was that name of their song? But it's like, ain't till 10 till the party really starts. But I always had to be home by something, whatever the hell it is. I was like, that's exactly it. Not so much. Houdini was obviously younger than his mid-50s, apparently, when he did that song. So he obviously didn't get it. All righty. Oh, we're gonna start out with some. Sometimes I try to make these questions in the right order. Sometimes I just put them in there and then I go back and try to make a theme. So I'm gonna start out with one that seems a little right out of the gate with a little bit of sass in it. Let's see here. Why are Christians more interested in helping minorities in foreign countries than foreigners in America? And those of us that grew up going to church, I remember raising money when I was little, like elementary school, for Haiti, because whatever was going on at Haiti in the 70s, but big religious groups often send their youth groups and everything else all over the world for these missionary type of trips, right? We're going to build something, and then they build like a room to have a church, which probably is the last thing that group needs, but that's what we do. But right now, doesn't feel like churches are really big on helping the minorities and the foreigners in our own country. Any thoughts on that?
Control, easy targets. I mean, that's just all. Yeah, that's all it is because especially you're going into areas where people really don't have a good background in any type of theology, except maybe whatever gods they have had. In the U.S., we have literal mentions of God printed on our money. And it's something that's been intrinsic in our society for centuries. Well, you go to foreign countries, especially with people who are in worse conditions, and they see the Christians that are coming to see them in better conditions, and, oh, their God must be really doing something for them. We don't know about your God. And they get to manipulate them from the beginning. To me, it's the exact same reason that you have to start kids young, because adults don't transition as easily. Is because you have to get them to where they're more easily to accept some things and just go with you on that journey without reason. That's my 2 cents.
Yep. My 2 cents starts with the definition of help. I think a significant portion of their resources and activities are geared toward proselytization. If they build a school building, it's used to teach maybe some of the regular school, but also I'm sure a large part of it is religious teaching for their chosen sect. For instance, my own father made trips to China, mainland China, bringing Bibles to a church that was already existing. Now that isn't it's a little bit different, but their energy and their resources, donating to the trips and financing everything, because it's quite expensive, simply to take Bibles to China. So, I don't know if their goals are truly as morally upstanding as we would think so. Now, in their own minds, I'm sure they are.
Yeah,
because bringing the word of Jesus to people who haven't heard it, in their minds, is doing a good in the world. And my view that it's not.
Do you find that, Scott, you sort of hit on this, and I'm picking up on what Larry just said, is it easier to go to China and find people who've never heard of Jesus than to go to Chinatown, if you will, and try to convert people who clearly have heard of Jesus but maybe aren't believers? Is that why they're picking on the people in China versus the Chinese that are sort of down the street, so to speak?
I would think so. I would think so, especially when, again, coming from more prosperous countries, and you're going to areas that are less prosperous, where they can connect your religion with your view of prosperity, so that God must be smiling on you sometimes, or we want what you have, your prosperity, all these great things that you have, especially when you're talking about remote areas that don't have access to these things. And it's like, well, hey, you can have all that we have, come along on this religious ride, because we have this belief system as well.
Yeah. Mike, what's your thought on this?
I guess I'm thinking that it's easy to go for the low-hanging fruit. I know when I was in church, and it might not seem that going across the ocean and living in impoverished areas is low-hanging fruit, but you're dealing with people who, exactly like what Scott said, are going to be impressed by all of the by everything that we have. And I know that when I was in church, I asked this question very similar to this, and I said, we have this family. It's a farming family. They have like 13, 14 kids. They need help all the time because they're farming on bad land. There's a small area in the area here, and it just doesn't grow anything, or whatever they were growing, they weren't growing it right. So I thought to myself, well, why aren't we helping them? And when I asked that question, I was told this: people here have the exact same opportunities as everyone else. Those people over in those other countries don't have those opportunities. And that's why, if they've already heard the word of God, well, then they know the right way to go.
Yeah.
At what point do you pull out of China then?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Just move there. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it seems like it's attached to personal finance and control, and or I should say, it's attached to money and control and to colonization.
Well, yeah. Christianity doesn't, and white people don't really have the best history when it comes to colonization. You know, it's not exactly what we like to think it is sometimes. I'm going to go back to a question, Carl. Who is Karl Marx? Carl, I'm going to say Carl because that probably not your real name. But Carl asked this question right after we started this discussion. I think he kind of went a little sideways on it, but you know, the question again was, why do Christians very often go to foreign countries and help foreigners in their country versus help foreigners here? And he said, why is that morally wrong from an atheist worldview? I don't think we said it was morally wrong. It's more ironic. Again, like I said, why go to China when you can go to Chinatown? You know, there's people.
Yeah, I would also like to posit there is no atheist worldview.
Yeah.
The atheist worldview is any worldview that doesn't specifically rely on a deity. That's it. There is atheists don't all look at this question the same way any more than different levels of Christianity do. Now, if you ask why is this morally wrong from the standpoint of someone who does not get their morals from a specific God, that's a different question.
I can drill into that actually, if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason I believe it's morally wrong is because let's cut right to the chase. It's a group of people who think that this deity has commanded them to go over and force themselves on other people. That's not okay.
Yeah.
You know, humanity for 200,000. No, the dates get pushed back farther and farther. I mean, we could probably go all the way back to Homo habilis, right? One of the first humans. That's even up for debate, but Homo habilis. Homo habilis had it sorted out. You got to do good stuff in order to be considered good, in order to continue and make it. Mm-hmm. You don't need a supreme leader threatening hell and damnation in order to know that helping out your fellow tribe members is a good thing. You know, people do that just fine. And you want to know how we know? Because we have the North Sentinelese. They're doing just fine. You know who the North Sentinelese are? They're the people that live on that island that's nobody's allowed to contact.
Oh,
they're doing just fine.
A couple years ago.
Right. In fact, they're doing better off than we are because we're so dependent on all this technology and all of and everything that we need right now. We don't, and none of us farm. Not a single one of the four of us do any farming. I'm sure we may have a garden, but we're not self-sufficient.
I'm growing some basil.
If you turn the lights off on us today, you know, all that's going to happen for the people in North Sentinel Island is it's going to be Monday tomorrow. For us, it's going to be really different if you turn off the lights.
I'm going to be taken out pretty early in the post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah,
I'm not going to make it to the tribe.
Food or someone's fun.
Yeah, if you go back to the moral question of why do we consider that immoral, even though I don't think we said that.
No,
the mindset of bringing the gospel to impoverished or people that are lesser than you because you're Christian in the United States, the North Sentinelese is a perfect case of where they feel entitled to go where they're not welcome and preach the gospel. And it's morally wrong to go to the Sentinelese Islands because it endangers that whole group of people there. They don't have the same resistance to
immunities,
diseases and things that every one of us, you know, can survive and thrive around.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, there is a morally wrong component to that because it causes harm to other people.
And not only that, but look at the Catholic Church's influence on that northern leg of Africa where AIDS is so prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the Catholic Church coming in and saying, oh, God is good, you know, praise him. Here's your Bibles and stuff. By the way, if you use condoms, God will smite you.
Yeah. Right.
It's like the one thing that's going to stop AIDS transmission. And
Yeah, the most reliable way.
There are active harms and things like that. And you're talking about people who don't know, when you get into a lot of those rural areas and there's no education for, sex education, disease, and things like that. And you've got people waving a Bible around instead of a medical degree,
Mm-hmm.
and then telling them the things that are going to literally increase the amount of children dying of AIDS. And that's
during a debate. Christopher Hitchens, during the debate, and the question was, is the Catholic Church a force for good in the world? He said exactly what Scott was talking about. To that point, he said, AIDS is, the Catholic Church's standpoint is that AIDS is bad, but not as bad as condoms.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on.
Right.
If anybody wants to get further on that viewpoint, Stephen Fry was his debate partner in that.
Yes.
And, very emotional, very angry, with good reason. They do point out this exact question about what is moral when people are acting that way, and I watched that debate a long time ago, multiple times, and it brings out the hypocrisy.
I'm going to go back to Carl, and Carl's discussing with different people online. By the way, Randy, Phantom X, thanks for joining. Carl, thanks for joining as well, even though I don't think we're going to agree on a lot, but thanks for joining. But Carl does say this, and this is going to come up every time we do anything, so we might as well throw it out there again. But in response to this little bit of this conversation that started with Carl, why is harm bad from an atheist the worldview? But we'll give it to him for the
here's one part of even answering that question to this user. If you're going to keep using the phrase atheist worldview, when we've explained why there is no such thing, and people in the comments have too, you're not being an active part of the conversation. Now, if you want to ask as an atheist, what is the basis by which you say harm? But this is a very easy question to answer. Why is harm bad from the view of an atheist? Harm is bad because I don't want to be harmed, and humans are social species. So the way for me not to be harmed is if nobody gets harmed. So the more nobody getting harmed is going on, the more me not getting harmed is going on. And it's just like anything else. You can get to absolute.
I should be to throw you off, Scott.
This is just a ridiculous question, man.
It is.
I'm gonna interject here.
Masturbation.
Yeah, I'm gonna interject here and say that there are smarter people than me that said you can utilize the English language to string a sentence to string words together into a grammatically correct sentence, but it may not mean anything. And I think we're starting to get into that area a little bit.
This last little bit, I do want to hit this last little bit because it portrays this. It sets up this situation, which is a false equivalency, right? Because this final question, Carl, because we got to move to different people and we have different questions. But he says, so harm boils down to preferences and feelings. What if an atheist believes different? Who's the tiebreaker?
There's no
tiebreaker. Kind of brings
tiebreaker.
up this point of, because if an atheist, I guess, decides that this isn't harmful, to Scott's point, if he says, well, I don't care if I'm being harmed, therefore I don't care if I harm others, as if atheists, the only people possibly could do harm to people. It implies that, well, Christians wouldn't do that because they have God. They'd never be mean to someone. They'd never harm someone, which is completely insane, right?
Mike, I think the previous comment you had up there actually implies that non-atheists are fine with some harm.
Which was maybe. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them in there. Yeah.
I think I said it in the last roundtable, or maybe the one before. There is not one single thing a Christian or any religious person can do that is good that I can't do.
Exactly.
But there
Yeah.
are many, 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 many absolutely abhorrent and vile, disgusting things that Christians and other religious people will do that I will have absolutely
in
no
the
part
name in the name of their religion.
And they
Right.
do it in the
Add that.
name of their religion.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Scott.
No, I was just going to say that's the key part is I was just having this conversation earlier today. There's no bad thing that they can do in the name of their religion that I can do, that I can't do in the name of irreligion, but there's tons of things they can and will do negatively in the name of their religion that I, as an atheist, can't do in the name of atheism.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets into very similar things like the Euthyphro dilemma. If you're using a deity as your objective moral compass, then you don't actually have objective morality. You have just forgot the word anyway, because whatever your source is, if that source changes its mind about what's moral and what's not moral, then you have to change your mind with it, which means if your source for morality just all of a sudden says that essaying a 10-year-old child is not only no longer immoral, but you have to do it to them by the time they turn 10, that's something you have to deal with. That's why the Euthyphro dilemma is a really interesting. It originally started out about piety and then became about just overall morality and objectivism and stuff.
We're going to move on from that one. But Carl, again, we always appreciate, even if we disagree, we appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going with this one as a group one, but I'll start with you, Mike, for this one. So one thing that always astounds me is the utmost confidence that this plays on this, what we just had. One thing that always astounds me is the utmost confidence in which some Christians will tell an atheist what atheists believe. Which is kind of funny because that was not a plan. I didn't plant Carl to set this thing up, but Carl did just tell us essentially what atheists believe to a degree. But it is funny, we are told this all the time. Well, atheists, you guys think this, and atheists, you believe this, and like, no, calm down. That's not at all. And usually it's shit that they just made up. You know what I mean? Or they've just assumed that that's what we all think.
Often.
Yeah. So Mike, I'll let you start out with that one. I'm sure we all have some general thoughts on that.
Yeah. I'm going to try to illustrate it as easily as possible. And that is, there's two people. One follows Christianity and the other one is atheist. All right. Here's what happens. This person's whole everything is dictated to them by a Bronze Age storm god that I'm going to stop there. All right. We already got it established because I get pissed off when I start talking about that. And here's an atheist. It's a shame that the word atheist has to exist. We actually have to define and categorize people as someone who doesn't believe that there's a divine. That's it. That's them. That's an atheist. An atheist is simply, by definition, someone who doesn't believe that there's a celestial teacup floating out there between Mars and the asteroid belt that's in control of everything. There's 2,800 other gods that we're aware of that have been written about in one shape or another for as long as humanity's been around that we have evidence for. 2,800. The difference between an atheist and the religious is, well, first of all, this person isn't going to take part in any of the BS that this person does, but this person believes in one less God. One less God. That's
one
it.
Less.
That is the definition of atheism. Now, if you want to start getting into the morality and all of these different things, it's even Jesus Christ himself, if he even existed, tells the story of the Good Samaritan. And the Good Samaritan was not Jewish, didn't believe in the Christian God or the Judeo-Christian God. But this cat is just walking along and he sees a Jew beaten up on the side of the road. He helps this Jew. And now don't forget, this is a parable that Jesus told. The Samaritan takes this Jew, doesn't have the means to be able to take care of him right then and there. So he takes him somewhere and he says, listen, you take care of this guy for me. I don't know him from Adam. Here's some money. When I come back, I'll square up with you if you need to do anything else to help this guy. And Jesus says, if a Samaritan is going to do something like that, then who the heck are you to not help your brother or sister? And it proves, and I'll say it again, it proves that we don't get our morality from the Bible.
I agree with that statement. Did you guys get anything else?
I thought the question was something different. I thought the question was, oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, the whole thing about telling atheists what they think is because it's in the damn Bible. It's literally in the book that they're taught from. Paul in Ephesians and in Romans talks about, oh, everyone knows Jesus in their heart. Anyone that says that they don't is a liar. So people will tell an atheist, some Christians will use that to say to an atheist, well, you know that Jesus exists. You know God is real because the Bible says so.
Yeah.
It's literally they're being taught that, and they're
parroting it back.
Yeah, and religions in general are based in teaching things that you don't have to validate. You just have to believe them. And so whatever the religious leaders, I've literally heard religious leaders preaching on how bad the non-believers are and what they want to do, and they're only doing it for sin, and it's just all the ridiculous. But yeah, they're I believe a lot of it has to do with so many are told not only by their spiritual leaders but by the book itself that how non-believers are. And it's most same with similar, I think the Quran has a lot of similar statements on non-believers.
We need to get somebody on that's born and raised in a Muslim environment, because I don't know enough about the Quran to say what you said. But yeah, I imagine it's true though. It's an easy way to say those are the others. The people that don't believe are the others. Don't associate with them. They're bad people. They're evil.
Yep.
Yeah, and here's what we know about them. They know Jesus. They just want to sin. They just want to go fornicate and
and it goes.
Go ahead, Larry.
The level at which this occurs was demonstrated to me when my daughter, who went to a large Jesuit Catholic university, in her freshman year. Obviously, they have to take a religion course, and the professor defined an atheist improperly. And my daughter said, "Here's what my professor said," and I don't remember her exact words, but I just said, "That's not accurate. That's not correct." So even in the learned folks there have probably not taken the time to vet their knowledge, except through the lens of their religion.
I'm going to put up a video. It's again, I didn't set this up, but Scott, you teed this one up perfectly. So let's go to a video, because it's you teed this up unconsciously, but perfectly. So thank you for that. Let's run with this real quick. Or hold on there.
There is not a single person on this planet that can convince me that they truly don't believe God exists. I believe that wholeheartedly. I don't believe in God. I don't believe you. What I think is that once people have to come to terms with the fact that God exists, then accountability comes in. And accountability is really inconvenient with people who want to be able to do whatever they want and believe that there's no consequences. There's not a single person on this planet that truly does not believe in God. I will die on this hill.
Could you have set that up better? That's exactly what you said. They're taught that you do believe in God. You just don't want to because you want to do bad things. Okay, and she says it. I just pulled that this week. So this is currently being taught, obviously, because she looks like she's 12. I don't know how old she is, but she's a young woman, But she doesn't believe there's a single person on the planet that's actually an atheist. We're all just faking it so we can all go fuck people. That's kind of what it comes down to, right? At will, and steal and gamble. I don't know what that fuck. It's just ridiculous.
I'm sure she believes that sexual preference is also a choice.
Of course, that's a given, right? Yeah.
It's like on the one hand, it's like, well, what if I say I don't believe that you do believe in a God? Now what do we do?
Ridiculous.
But then on the other hand is just cool story, bro. And then if that's where we are, then okay, have a day.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? You just screaming into the wind at this point.
Yeah. yeah, when I saw her and she was so earnest, I don't know, earnest is really the right word. She had kind of a snarkiness about her, but it's like, do you really believe that we're all just saying this for the perks of being an atheist? Like, what do you think that we're getting out of it?
How do you get that to that point where you're so affected by the knowledge that people claim to not believe in deities that you'll die on that hill?
The hill.
I mean,
right.
How much are non-believers affecting your life where you have to be so out there, and say this is all or nothing? And
yeah, I don't get that.
To what end? What was the point of even making the video except virtue signaling yourself? I mean,
there you go.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been lying the whole time because I just want to do all the murders and things. Now what?
Right.
I mean, what are you really bringing to the table with that video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good
here's
point.
the scary part.
Okay, you caught us. Alrighty. And what do we? And tomorrow we'll go out and kill some more people because that's what we do. It's not. Yes, you young girl with a nose ring is going to stop me now that you've called me on my bullshit. I don't know. Who the hell knows?
That's the really scary thing there. You're hitting on it, Mike. You're really hitting on it, because what that woman is saying is that without the fear of death, without the fear of damnation, we're all just going to run amok.
Yeah.
If that's actually what you think, like you need somebody to whip your ass into shape, and you need a book from the Bronze Age to tell you what to do.
Stop you.
You're a shitty person.
Exactly.
You're a shitty person. Point blank. Yeah.
Yeah. And if it's from before the Bronze Age, same thing applies. It's not just Bronze Age books. It's all the books.
Yeah.
All the books. Yeah.
And
all the books.
And
that really, if that's what, and I know many Christians who are not shitty people, but when you break it down to its finest point, they're really doing it because they think that if they pretend to eat the body of a dead person and drink the blood of a dead person and then say some prayers, that they're going to be given this salvation, and then they have to follow these 10 commandments. Man, if that's what's keeping you from beating up your neighbor when they're playing their music too loud, you're a shitty person.
I don't want to be your neighbor.
If that's what's keeping you from harming women and children, you're a shitty person.
Yeah. And I think she displayed quite a pomposity in that she seemed to be expecting the non-believer to change their views to hers. Why, why wouldn't we expect her to change it to ours?
Oh, well, that'd be wrong.
Because you can. It's not a choice.
Right.
No, she wanted us to admit that we had the same beliefs as her.
Right. She wanted to. Yeah. That's
we were
point.
wrong. Yeah, we were wrong.
Or not. Well, yeah, we're just being deceitful, and
yes, purposefully.
Yeah,
that affects her life.
Lying. Right. Yeah. Again, it's like, like you said, what would the end result be? Where are we going with this? Again, the great perks of being an atheist and outcast throughout most of society, never holding public office. I mean, what is it we're after here? Yeah. That's the same thing like when they always talk about gay people, like, oh, yeah, you mean all the great perks of being gay? I mean, that works out so well across the board. Yeah. That's why they choose that lifestyle. I mean, come on, man. Yeah. No, it's so stupid. All right, go to another one. This is kind of a weird question. So I'm apologizing ahead of time because when I put it in here, I'm like, I probably should have fleshed this out more. But let's do this as a thought exercise. We'll just start with Larry. How did Christianity decide what is sinful? And I guess we could go with the question being like, why are certain things sin? And then, as I'm thinking out loud, why are certain things sin? Like not killing someone seems pretty obvious. Mixed cloth, I don't. Maybe one of you guys know why cloth is a sin.
Well, to be fair, that wasn't Christianity. So,
but not slavery. It's not as bad as cloth or killing people. But yeah, where do you think the decision, or how do you think sin became a sin? If you can address that, and
wow,
I know. Sorry,
I'm kind of I know. I kind of have a loss as how they would decide what is sinful, other than perhaps something made them feel icky, or it was a way to otherize people, and that they found the way that others worshipped were not to their liking, I guess. I don't know. I know the early Christians, they were persecuted and, had to meet in caves and whatnot. The stories I was always told.
Mm-hmm.
But I really don't know. I think, it probably, hypothetically, would go back to why we think things are not moral or not good, and in that it causes harm to people or a group of people. Most likely in Christianity, a group of people that agrees with you and holds your Christianity, your Christian views.
Mm-hmm.
So it's part of making a village or a tribe, that you have to differentiate yourself. And one of those ways is, well, what you're doing is evil. You're calling up not God. You're calling up demons and things, which weirdly are other gods. So if those that claim that there's one true God needs to talk to all the other religions about their one true God, or 10 true gods, or whatever they worship.
I kind of agree with you. In the original, if you say the original sin, that's not the term I mean, but in the way we say it. But you're right. I think the societal need for getting along and going along and not destroying the society, the tribe, or wherever broadly you want to go, not killing people seems a pretty obvious thing. If I'm going to live amongst other people, we shouldn't kill them. That's not going to be helpful as human species, right? It's not too big of a leap to go from the just general instinctual nature of we shouldn't kill people in our group to let's write this down and make it even worse than the obvious is that we shouldn't do it. Let's write it down for a really good reason.
Yeah,
okay,
whatever. Many cultures knew that killing people was not an overall good way before Moses.
Yeah, way before Christianity. This has always sort of been a thing, right? Again, some of these very violent ones are very obvious, right? But why again? What did cotton and linen do to each other? I have no idea. I don't know how.
Yeah, doesn't it seem a little weird that the Abrahamic religions have all these things that are considered sins, and the result is absolute eternal damnation. If you commit these sins, you're going to suffer greatly.
Mm-hmm.
When we look around the area where all these rules and regulations were popping up, these sins, other people were existing just fine, like not doing a lot of these things.
Right. For
how
tens of thousands of years.
How bad was this group of people that came up with this Abrahamic,
right?
How bad were they?
Yeah.
That they really had to have it beaten to their head that if you eat shellfish, that could probably end up being a really bad deal for you, because there was no plumbing. The sewage was going directly into the waterways. Right. Shellfish are bottom feeders.
Or just bad selfish.
That was one of the things that those people experienced on a regular basis. That's one of the reasons why shellfish was not a good thing for you.
The meat and dairy mix for Jewish people, right?
Don't boil they had to be told don't boil a cow in its mother's milk.
I feel like they knew that
milk. I mean,
it's like also don't eat that mushroom. That there's I don't know.
I think
I don't know. I don't know what that's all about, but
there's another feature that just occurred to me as well. Christianity is basically set up to provide a problem and then provide the solution. So everything goes through the leadership of the church. So they put their Bible together. They've decided that here are the sins, and now we can say that you did this or you thought this, which is where a thought crime is a sin. But if you ask me, or if you ask Jesus through me, the leader of the church, for forgiveness, I can arrange that for you.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. Look at how
and then
powerful
everybody feels better, and then they can go and sin again, and in a week or two come back and say, yeah, I slipped again. How about some more forgiveness? And they say, okay, let me check with the Sky Daddy, and yeah, okay, you're forgiven.
Yep.
Ad infinitum.
I think that the actual question being, how did Christianity decide what was sinful?
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't. Like, that's why we have so many denominations. Nobody can agree with each other. Can you get a divorce? Okay, fine. You can get a divorce if it's for your spouse cheating on you. If your spouse isn't cheating on you, but they're beating on you, can you leave that spouse and remarry? Well, yes, you can leave that spouse and remarry because that was a bad spouse. But wait a minute. Jesus said no. Jesus said unless they cheated on you, if you remarry, then you are committing adultery, like constantly. And then other ones are saying, well, no, you're not. So I don't. Christianity in and of itself has not really, all of the things that we know, stealing, killing, all of the things that other civilizations around the world have pretty much all said, that's not a good thing to at least do, to have ourselves do. All of the little stuff, all of the little stupid sins and what's a sin versus what's a law, and whether the new covenant carried the old covenant, or whether you said enough Hail Marys, or it's just ridiculous, because it's set up to where the whole thing is set up to where you can read it any way you want. So you can make anything you want a sin. So Christianity has not. Christianity set up a system of confusion where people can say that they're right, just like little curly-headed Chica, and just say that's just the way it is. And
and I think it's also telling that they can forgive any sin except one, and that's the sin of non-belief. So that points even more towards using sin, or their opinion of whatever they define sin, which, to Scott's point, changes and is very fluid in degrees. But they can all still be forgiven. Murder, rape, adultery, everything can be forgiven except non-belief.
I've never really gotten that. I mean, I get it. I see where it's coming from, but just on the scheme of things, the sins that we associate with sins, like you said, the one that can't be forgiven is to not believe. What? I can kill a busload of nuns, and right before they eject me or shoot me or whatever they're going to electrocute me, I can say no, but I'm fine with God. And you're like, all right, you're in, buddy.
Oh yeah, you're good till the 11th hour, Mike.
But if I say there is no God, they're like frying me, and I go straight to hell. That's the only difference. The nun thing, easily washed. Yeah, we all do crazy things, but you have to believe in Jesus. It's like, this is so silly to me, but I don't know.
Sin fails as a mechanism of control if you don't even believe it.
Well, I guess that's true. That's the hinge, right? I mean, everything hinges on that.
Defeats their purpose. They have no control over it, over you.
Yeah.
So, they'll just concentrate on who they can forgive.
Because we're lost causes. All right, let's move on to the next one. Scott, this one's for you. Actually, no, this is actually pretty easy. It's a simple question, but it is. I'm curious your specific thoughts on this, because you have I like the way you think about things. So what's the reason why agnosticism is less popular than atheism? I don't know that that's true.
Is it?
I don't know that it's true, but
I don't think people care enough about agnosticism.
That's
first of all, there's two different versions of agnosticism. One is whether or not you do know that a God exists, and another use is whether or not one can know. And when the question is to whether or not you can know, or whether or not you do know, if you can't provide evidence for anything, I don't care. It's the knowledge of that. Like, can you know whether or not a God exists? That's that's philosophical fluff. The question is,
some people
does it
claim they
exist?
do.
And,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's fine. Then let's talk about the evidence and stuff. But actually, the use of the word agnosticism, and I think it has a lot just more to do with it's not as popular a subject whether or not a God can exist,
Mm-hmm.
because it's more important whether or not a God does exist. Whether or not you can know that a God exists,
Mm-hmm.
because that's an unanswerable question, really. If you can't know that a God exists, you can't know. And if you can know that a God exists, but the God doesn't want you to know, you still won't be able to. I mean, I guess technically it's falsifiable, but yeah, that's just kind of the, I don't know. That's those philosophical questions that I just don't really think matter as much, because they're more about pedanticism rather than communicating ideas.
Do you
I
think though that people are more apt to call themselves one versus the other? Is that maybe where this person's coming from? That they feel like there's more people that say atheist than they say agnostic? I'm not assuming they're correct in this statement. I'm just asking that.
I think that the entire question of what agnostic means, what agnosticism means, and what Gnosticism means has been in question since Huxley first started using the term in the 19th century.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of those philosophical questions that I could talk about the definition of Gnosticism and whether or not we can, but why it's more popular than atheism. The only reason I could see why it would be even in the same conversation is because people don't want to call themselves atheists.
Actually, they're saying the other. They're saying being agnostic is less popular than atheism.
Yeah, I don't,
Same
because
principle.
it's a much more boring conversation. It's easier to prove that a God, whether or not it's easier to prove that your God that you believe in exists.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually something to go for. With Gnosticism, how do you prove that you cannot know that a God could exist?
Mm-hmm. Do you think
it's important?
I'm not high enough to really try to figure that out.
It's just something that Scott's referencing is gnosis. It's what the root word for that, and that's the knowing. So that's why he's referring to the knowing. And for people that might be out there listening right now or watching, there's a big difference between what we think the words mean and what they actually mean. So spend some time with that, and you'll follow along very easily with what Scott was saying. Gnosis, look it up.
I had for a long time. I'm in the camp of. Hi, Cynthia. I'm in the camp of agnostic and atheism are answering two different questions. One is belief, one is knowledge, and you can be a Gnostic theist, which means you know that there's a God. You can also be a Gnostic atheist and claim to know there is no God. I do know of some people that have claimed that. And then there's agnostic. You can be an agnostic theist saying, I really have no knowledge of a God, but I still believe, which is two separate things. And where most of the atheists that I've encountered are at, I know Mike for sure, and myself, we're agnostic atheist. We don't believe, but we have no knowledge of any God. So we have no knowledge, but we don't believe.
And see, that's one of the definitional differences, which is why a question like this is ambiguous itself, because a lot of the usage of agnostic is not whether you have the knowledge, it's you believe that the knowledge could not be had. So it's like, that's why there's multiple uses of the same phrase. Some people use agnostic to mean agnostic means I don't know. Other people use agnostic to mean I'm in the camp that no one can know.
Right. Yeah, and no, Carl, you do not understand atheism.
Yeah, I had to throw that up there. Carl knows
Yeah.
better than
Yeah,
we do.
I saw that too.
Like, okay, Carl,
So
thanks.
yeah,
Calm down. Yeah. Welcome, Cynthia. How did your speech go? Oh, you're on mute.
I hope your last speech went better than this one started.
Nope, you're still on mute. No.
yell louder.
No, she's being censored for whatever she's saying about me because that was kind of cold.
You can't
You're
hear
muted,
Cynthia. You're still muted.
Wish I could read lips. She was going to say how wonderful this show is.
Yeah, I think she was trying to tell us that we're all attractive men and that we're just wonderful people and good husbands and fathers. And
I even got the part in my hair straight tonight too. So.
Look at that, man.
I like what you did with it. I
part.
was going to say that when I first saw you this evening. It's looking good.
Yeah.
She's panicking.
No, take your time, Cynthia. We'll get you. In fact,
She's agnostic about this roundtable tonight. She has no knowledge what's wrong.
Let me pull this up here. I'm going to jump to another question, and Cynthia, you just jump in when you can. And just Cynthia, when they get the mic working, just say something, then we'll hear you. But if we don't respond to you, that means we haven't heard you yet. Oh, so here I got a question for you, Mike. And this kind of reminded me, just as an aside, we have a website, atheistville.com, and on there we have a blog. And I've added, a fair amount of things on there. And Mike, the other Mike, has also added some things on here recently. And this question came up, and it kind of reminded me of some of the things that you added. Let me pull this up. So the question was, I thought Christian nationalism was good for the country, but now it seems like Christians are suffering just as much as anyone else, or as everyone else. What's your thoughts on that, Mike?
Well, so I thought Christian nationalism was good for the country. Well, that's going to leave out a whole lot of people, and
a whole lot of Christians.
A whole lot of Christians, right? It's going to leave out a whole lot of Christians, and if you look at in the blog post, I talk about Project 2025.
Yeah,
and it's very, very clear. I mean, the playbook is there. I think it's a 900-page document.
Yeah.
It's hey, Cynthia, we got you.
Hey.
Yeah, and it helps gain control. I tell you.
Gain.
Yeah, technology is something else.
So I think what's happening is the rest of the Christians that aren't Christian nationalists, or I should say, this administration's version of Christianity, or their interpretation of it, and all of the authors, because not all of the authors of Project 2025 are part and parcel of the government itself, the operating end of all of that. They're having a rude awakening. I think what happened is Christians in general saw Christian nationalism and saw that they drilled in on that one word, Christian, and they're like, okay, good. And everybody is impacted. Obviously, this Christian is, but now now it seems like Christians are suffering just as much as everyone else. So,
if I might interject a bit,
sure. Go right ahead.
Look at hey guys, I look at the term like Christian nationalism, and I think that we have some people within the community that are saying that Christian nationalism itself is a misnomer. It should be what we are really calling, what we're experiencing right now, is crystal fascism. Utilizing religion and marrying it with authoritarianism is more so what we're in right now. I think that but I can understand the sentiment of people wanting to utilize the term nationalist, because sometimes when you hear nationalist, you do think of an extreme patriotism.
I
when
think
you're nationalist, you're just completely exactly.
I'm
I mean, even though right, Right. And I mean, in one sense, that's not necessarily a terrible thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of like, I don't know if anybody ever seen this movie, The Head of State with Chris Rock,
Not in a
when he
long
was running for
time.
president.
Yeah, he was running for. I remember it. I don't know if I ever saw it. I just remember it though.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a while ago. But his opponent would always say, "God bless America," and no place else. And when I think of like Christian nationalism, that's what I think. I think of God bless America and no place else, right? And I
Well,
like
yeah.
when Chris was like, you know, God bless America and every place else, including Jamaica. And I'm not talking about the beach Jamaica. I'm talking about stabbing Jamaica. And I could talk about Jamaica because my mom was an immigrant, but that's neither here nor there.
Right.
But yes, but yeah, I think that, you know, in the case of way that they're using it, I would prefer Christofascism only as far as like to describe what it really is.
Mhm.
But regardless, the way that it's being used right now is basically just to weaponize the government into concentrating power really into the executive branch, to the point where, you know, we're experiencing like king-like behavior, emperor-like behavior. I make the laws, and I only alone should be listened to, and co-equal branches of government, schmo-equal branches of government. Who needs that judiciary and Congress? Whatever, they can go. He, you know, like, I think he's like his own Caesar, and like, you know, the Senate is just there just for kicks and giggles. You know, I think that's
20 years ago. It seems like it's playing out right now.
Yeah. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, right? I know. I mean, that's kind of how I just know this. Like, anytime like I would hear like somebody who would have these sentiments like of like the Christo nationalism, you know, blah blah blah. That's what I think of. Like, you know, like, you know, fascist state and God bless America and no place else.
Yeah.
Did you ask what's wrong with authoritarianism? Are you funny?
Is that a
joke?
He's not joking. Carl's been asking us that, but one of you mentioned authoritarian. Maybe you did, and he's like, well, "What's wrong with authoritarianism?" Well, I'm pretty. We don't have to address it, but I just thought you guys might like that. And also, just real quick, Carl is asking to do a debate with us right now. Like, Carl, we just don't do that because, as I mentioned in the comments, it just turns into a shouting match, and nobody wins, and there's no progression of a conversation there. I appreciate you wanting to do that, but. If you have your own channel, Carl, though, you're welcome to maybe invite any of us on. We probably would do that. It's just not what I do on this show and this channel.
Yeah.
Carl,
let us know,
I
man.
won't debate with anybody. I will not debate with a pigeon. You know, we've already talked about that.
Yeah.
Carl could also go out to a near street corner with an iPhone and a sign and probably find someone to debate.
Go ahead and do a Steven Crowder. Prove me wrong type thing. Remember, he used to go like set up a table on different
what public
college
spaces
campuses.
are for.
Yeah, go ahead, go for it.
It's just I understand it from a clickbait and everything. And then I say clickbait, it's not really the right way I'm trying to say it, but you'll get a lot of clicks, a lot of people because they want to see the fire. You know, they want to see the rhetoric and they want to see the Jerry Springer show. And it's just not particularly interesting to me. Not that I have any problem discussing and debating. And Carl, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt saying that you would be absolutely civil, but it's just the potential of it not being that is so great that I'm just not interested in doing that show. But you know, there are plenty of atheist shows out there that debate back and forth, and I'd be happy to do it. It's just not particularly interesting to me. But that's why we give you this platform. You had some questions, we bring them up, you know. But again, if you have your own channel, absolutely, you know, let us know, man. I have to do that.
I'm about to say, and also too, like I'm like Mehdi. I don't debate fascist.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's up there with I don't debate fascists and I don't debate flat earthers.
You know, what was the last piece?
I don't debate flat earthers.
Oh, flat earthers. Yeah.
And anyone who repeatedly uses the phrase atheist worldview after atheists tell them that there is no atheist worldview and then gets mad that we say they don't know atheism.
Yeah.
It's not. You can already see where that conversation is going to go.
What does?
Yeah.
He just put up another post. This pissed me off.
Oh,
I'm black.
Oh boy.
You just call a black man fascist.
Yeah.
I'll just say
boy.
Idi Amin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
this is
fascism-
another example of
What's
the
that got to
pigeon
do with
shitting
anything?
all over the
Yeah,
board,
I
knocking
mean, like-
over all the pieces and saying that it won.
What?
Yeah,
what-
I mean,
Exactly
like,
what we're
and-
dealing with.
Is it impossible for a black
Another
person to be a
fucking
fascist?
pigeon.
Is
Sorry,
that-
but that's
I mean, there's fascism is not lost on one race, sir. It's not a it's not a color thing. It's not a color thing.
And he also says, when did I say I was a flat earther? No,
I
man.
never
read
said
the
that
room.
you did.
Yes,
You
He's
just
Right.
obviously
I'm done.
not
I'm
listening
done with
to the
this
show.
Yeah,
person.
you're
Yeah,
trolling
come
now,
on,
sir.
Carl.
At this particular
yeah.
moment, you're
This is
trolling.
not all about you. You're
Yeah,
Okay.
all
Carl, we're gonna
fucking-
put one more comment from Carl, and then Carl, I'm gonna put you in timeout, man, because you're kind of annoying here now. Because
Right.
Cynthia, we're gonna use Cynthia, and I hate to say it, Cynthia is a black woman, as you can tell. You're saying you're a black man, and you're saying, but here's what he says his last thing. So black people are fascists?
no, because I'm not a
Nobody fucking
fascist.
said that.
There you go. Grab that race card,
Like,
buddy.
I'm
Grab hold
black,
of
but
that
I'm not.
sucker.
Right.
Why
I'm
are
bla-
you in
I'm
this
black.
conversation? Because you're having your own conversation. You're making it both sides, Carl. Come on, dude.
And I'm
This is
black, and I'm
ridiculous.
not a fascist, but I don't
No.
debate fascists either. I don't care what color you are. I don't debate fascists. Fascists can be any color, any creed, any nationality. It doesn't matter. But I don't debate you.
All right, Carl, I'm putting you in timeout.
Yes,
Maybe if you
please.
come back, we'll see how it is. So bang. So
Well,
Carl's in timeout for 10 minutes.
I will say, if Carl's still listening, these are the people who I will not debate. I don't debate flat earthers. I don't debate fascists, and I don't debate presuppositional Christian apologists, because
insane.
presuppositional
freedom of
apologists are the main people who says, your atheist worldview. They always default
Yeah,
to
oh,
atheist worldview, and it's so annoying. And then you end up getting into like circular reasoning and God, and it's just a headache.
He also obviously doesn't understand what freedom of speech is either.
No, because that was his other
Yeah.
comment. I'm not even put it up. Those of you watching
Yeah.
it, you can
It's-
see it.
Yeah.
For those of you
Yeah.
watching,
That's why I
at home,
took
you
my
can see it.
glasses back off.
Yeah. So-
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's been a
What?
raging debate back and forth with
Oh,
Carl.
that's
and,
much better.
Randy and everybody else in the comments, which has been great. But I'm not gonna put every one of them on the big screen, so to speak. But it's there. You guys are watching it. You can see it playing out. But it's just, come on, man. There's a point. But since Cynthia is here now, I've been kind of pushing your questions that we had for you earlier. I've been kind of sliding them down, and because you weren't here yet. I'm going to put up a question. This is specifically for you, because you did a post on your channel, and I'm going to play the video because I saw it as well, and then I saw you did a deep dive into it. So I'm going to run this, but if you're interested, and I'll put this up here in a minute, or Cynthia, if you want to put your link to your YouTube channel into the comments as well. But you did a deeper dive than you're just one-on-one. So I urge people to go to Cynthia's channel and go watch it. But let's go ahead and pull this up. I was kind of outraged, and obviously you were as well, Cynthia. So let's pull this video.
Berta McCoy, giving faith and stand in unity with the vision of perfecting church of sowing this seed of $1,000 plus $235 and receiving the blessings to come to all that participated.
Now that's only $1,200.
Yes.
Y'all not listening to what I'm saying. If you have 1,000 plus 1,000.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna work on the other 800.
Well, that ain't what I asked you to do.
What on earth? $1,200. Not enough.
Good.
Apparently.
They deserve it. That's all I'm going to say. They deserve it. If they're going to hang out in that kind of company, they deserve it.
And the
That's
loving
good.
congregation
Glad to hear it.
laughed. The loving
More
power
congregation
to 'em.
laughed at her.
This is so sad.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
That's
When
one
I
way.
mean, I remember just like when I first saw it, and this woman, she is standing proud there. I
Yeah.
believe that's her son that's next to her.
Thought so as well. Yeah.
And and then he's also looking up at Marvin Winans like he's this like towering
Yeah.
figure, like
He's got his little suit on. Little boy does. He's all proud.
she's looking up to him. Obviously, he's looking at him as a role model, and
Yeah.
she put him up there so that, you know, this is the way you do it, son. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I got so triggered when I saw this because, like, she's not a person. I don't know what this woman does. Like, this is one of the things that I said on my video. I don't know what the woman does as far as like her job is concerned. I don't know if she what type of work she does, but I mean, especially nowadays, you're looking at it, it's very difficult to come up with $1,235. Just I
Yeah.
mean, just off the bat, like, you
And how
know,
much do you need? Jesus, it's
I mean, like, you know,
$12 would have been a good donation.
so listen, hello. I mean, like,
I
you
mean-
know, she's taking like her hard-earned money. I don't know. Like I said, like, I don't know what type of work she does. I don't know if she has like a side hustle or anything like that. And she is giving like her hard-earned money to the church, to Winans, who got a Rolexes. I believe that he drives like a fancy car. He has a nice house. I mean, like all this stuff, right? That he has. And I mean, like, I understand, like, you know, organizations, no matter what, they need money in order for them to run. But at the same time, I mean, like, that's a lot of money for one person to come up with.
It is a lot of money.
Yeah, I didn't see like she had like a partner with her. It was just her and the little
And the
boy.
son.
So yeah, so she's giving this money and looking at him like, oh goodness, look what I did, and because God can bless
Very
me
happy.
and my house. Yeah, and then you turn around and say, well, that's not what I asked you to do. How smug. I found that repulsive. I really did. I found that vulgar. I really, really did. And I also felt it kind of triggering too, because, you know, as my son comes in, hi, honey. You're saying hi? Yeah. Okay. That's nice.
Not your room.
No. Okay. All right. Exactly. Okay. You gonna sit in here for a minute while mommy does things, or you gonna go? Are you leaving? Okay. Bye. Thanks for visiting. But anyway, yeah, but yeah, like, so now the dog comes. Good grief. Everybody, hi, Kita. Okay, anyway. But you know, I got triggered specifically because, like, I remember being in that type of atmosphere, that type of environment, like when I was like in the safe, sanctified church. Like, I saw these people like line up in the rooms giving money, like all kinds of money. I've seen people like throwing money on the altar when they felt that, you know, the man of God or the woman of God who was preaching at the time was just saying a word from on high, and they had to worship with, you know, the dollars that they earned, the small dollars that they earned all week long. And it's like they had this, the pastors and the people who were coming up here had this expectation of them that, oh no, you need to give till it hurts. And I would even hear pastors say that, like, you know, you got to give till it hurts. And thank you. My son brought me this because it's something that you need to do, because you can't expect God to give to you unless you sacrifice. And the way that you sacrifice is to get me a Bentley. I mean, to give an offering to the church and to sow, because they will always put this like they are in good ground. Shh, honey. Okay, yes. Mommy's talking now. Could you please? Okay, thank you. Please. Shh. Okay. So, you know, and then going further, because like I also put in, and I will link the video that I did in
I just threw it in the notes there.
Thank you. Thank you. She was offending him. Like, afterwards, she got interviewed.
Oh, did she?
And she defended. She did.
Defended. Yes,
She defended
I thought you said
him.
offending. Yeah, she was defending him.
She defended him. Yeah,
They're
she
great for
did.
each other.
Yeah,
You know, you're in a cult, right? I mean, he shamed her in front of, well, now the world, because everybody's seen this video. But he shamed the woman for coming up there with her $1,235. You know, when someone brings $1,235, that's because it's the most that she could come up with. You know what I mean? She brought 1,000, or she brought the 2,000 parallel that he wanted. She came up with 1,200. It's like, you know, she's like scraping by and grabbing
because
what she could.
Because she didn't have 1,236.
Right. That's
Right.
exactly a very good way of
Right.
saying it. So
Yeah.
that's what she had to a church, and
Right.
not enough. His suit was probably more than that, you know, but
She's
he's shaming her for not. It was like, oh my Lord, you got
But
to be
did you hear
kidding
what
me.
did you hear what he said though after that?
After
That
her
after she,
interviews.
that's no, what he said
Oh,
to her when she was up there, she said, I'm giving this $1,235 for a blessing or whatever. He said,
yeah,
that's not what I asked you to do.
right.
And then he said, I said 1,000 plus 1,000. And then
1,000
she said, yeah, and then she said, I will work on the 800.
Yes,
So
yeah,
that just lets me know that you getting what you got was not an easy task.
yeah,
This
because
was
you're
not
right. You got to work on it.
right. This is not something that you just was able just to go to your money tree in the backyard and take
Right.
off the $1,235. Like, like you mentioned, Mike, this is what you had. This is what you could bring together. This is probably all the money for the most part that she has at that particular moment in time to give. And
Mm-hmm.
who knows if she has any type of like safety net or a rainy day fund or something to that effect for her to get, like, if she has to work on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you have to find another source. So that means that lets me know that you don't have $800 to give, to spend.
Or you would have, because she clearly wants
or
to.
you would have. Right. Right.
I envisioned her going home and looking around and saying, what can I sell to get the rest of that money?
Or what can I do without for the next couple weeks or
she
whatever?
Couldn't just go to the bank and pull it out, or she would have
Obviously
done that.
not. Yeah, right.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I said go. I'll put it in there again in the comments. Cynthia, right now, I'll put that back in there. It's got a link to your page, your channel.
I think that's also this situation is also emblematic of another feature that we see across all religions, really, and that is that suffering is good. Suffering will get you everything. The most notable one is Mother Teresa. She's revered as a saint and the wonderful model of what a good giving Christian nun would be. When the reality has been well documented that she caused deaths. She could have easily, simple treatments could have saved a lot of people that were in her care.
Absolute
She said, no, it's all for a greater good. The suffering is all for a greater good.
Yeah.
Yeah, let them die and suffer in the process. Because
the longer the suffering, the better in the afterlife.
Yeah, Christopher Hitchens
paid a price.
Would take any opportunity he could to just rail on it. Because you're right. You ask the average person about Mother Teresa, and she's synonymous with just all things good. And like, no, she's not. But that's the image.
She
yeah.
No, she wasn't. She was a terrible person.
All right, let's move on to another question here. Maybe where we're going with this, Mike. How to not become a bitter atheist. As we're kind of ranting right now, but that's not. But a lot of people think that we're bitter and mean. I don't know. Carl seemed kind of mad about a lot of stuff, and he's not an atheist. But what do you think, Mike?
How not to become a bitter atheist? It's pretty simple for me. Or I should say, it didn't start out easy. How to become atheist? When I was going through my deconstruction, I was really bummed out. I thought I was, and I really was experiencing this huge loss. I didn't know where I stood in space and time, and I was really ticked off. And I didn't have anybody in particular to focus my anger at, because it would have been me focusing my anger at my parents who taught me about Christianity. It would have been me focusing my anger at all of the people at church and at my Lutheran school that I attended. And that seemed completely misguided. So I became bitter. And it occurred to me that I was wanting something that didn't exist. And I wanted that imaginary, that divine presence in my life. And I thought I was missing something. I had to go through a complete restructuring almost. I mean, because let's face it, children are programmed to believe the way that they do in Christianity. And once I was able to deprogram myself, I started looking around the world, and it's great. There's no reason for me to be bitter.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's there to when I look at the totality of the different things that can affect me and have influence in my life, I know that I don't have to be bitter when bad things happen, because there's no magic involved. There's cause and effect, and I have to take the time to just dial back from my knee-jerk reactions and things, and the bitterness went away. It went away as soon as it was coming into play. I think it was starting to leave as I was going through my deconstruction. So that's what I experienced.
How about you? Anybody else there ever feel like you went through a stage of that, a bitterness at all, or no?
Absolutely.
Oh, you did, Scott? Please do tell.
Well, I have some mental health issues, so like everything comes across as bitter to me sometimes. But no, yeah, there was a lot of my mental health issues are rooted in religious trauma. So of course I was absolutely bitter about that. And I think over the past couple of years, I've really devoted a lot more time to looking at my mental health, where it got there. It's kind of like I've got family members that I would like really hold that same type of bitterness to. But then when I have to look at like the people that were doing that harm and realize they had no base, they were conditioned to be who they were. It's not like they were intentionally harming. So they were victims of it. What I was a victim of, they were a victim of as well. So like, the people that were following religious edicts and, having issues with my sexuality or anything about me, that was just projecting some of the same conditioning that they were given. And it's just, once I found that it's really hard to be mad at someone for something that's not entirely their fault, it takes the bitterness out of it and actually put me in more of a frame of mind where I would like to spend more time with open and conversations about skepticism, why we should believe things and don't. And honestly, it's gotten me, I think a lot of the pedantic arguments and conversations are still rooted in that bitterness, which is why I try to avoid those as well.
Yeah. I just commented on Mantis Punch, I guess. He said, trying to be better, but he's an atheist who lives in Oklahoma, and the amount of ignorance that I'm surrounded by is just exhausting. I commented while you were talking, like, Scott and I
feel
grew
your
up in
pain.
Alabama and Florida.
Yeah.
We get it.
I visited my parents in in the Ozarks in Missouri. So yeah, it's
when you're behind enemy lines, so to speak, like that, it's like
I don't know who I told this to, but we went to Silver Dollar City in Branson once, my son and my family, and I told my son, who was about 14 or 15 at the time, I said, we're gonna have a contest today. It's gonna be called Count the Religious T-shirt, and all I can say is it was a very high scoring game.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Religious T-shirt bingo.
My goodness. Yeah, I remember.
But it was fun.
I bet. I remember when we went to NanoCon this year in Nashville, and it was interesting because like I wanted to see like, so how many churches can we count until we get to our Airbnb?
Oh.
And or and it was like one part where my friend Mandiza picked me up, president of Black Non-Believers, picked me up from the airport, and we was on our way to the conference. And then she said, you're going to see something very interesting on our way there. I said, oh, what's that? She said, just wait for it. And I was like, oh, crap. What are we going to see? And then there was like a whole like store just dedicated to Trump paraphernalia. It was
I've not
really
seen one on TV, but I've not seen one in real life yet.
in real life that was surreal. I was like, wow, that exists.
I actually went in one.
You did?
Yeah,
man.
Me and my wife went in one just for kick because look at me. I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna stand out at all. Yeah, exactly. It's funny you mentioned, Cynthia, to count the churches. Scott, you and I lived what, a mile and a half or so from each other in Florida?
Yeah.
How many churches between your house and my house? I had to pass 4 just getting out of my house to get to 295.
2, 3, 4. There's the little one that's now a school.
The 4 on the corner, you mean? The Catholic quad? Yeah, that was just that. I think
before you moved, there was at least 7.
Mile
in a mile?
Mile and a half, give or take. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. This is Florida, right?
Oh, now keeping in mind, I grew up in a town of less than 1,000. There was the First Baptist on one end of town, United Methodist on the other end of town, and there was a couple of AME and independent churches in the center of town.
Yeah, because because
then you go any direction a mile, let's say 2 miles, you're going to hit at least another church.
Yeah, it's yeah.
But you
far outweighs the soup kitchens. That's for damn sure.
Looks like Wesley's back.
Hey, Wesley.
Hey, Wesley, how you doing? Thank you for
joining in, Wesley.
Praying for us. We so do appreciate it.
Always appreciate Wesley joining in and praying for us.
If I went through a bitter moment in my life, as far as like being an atheist, it wasn't my bitterness and atheism wasn't super long. I think it was like a year. Like maybe like a year or so that I was kind of bitter. I think that like when I got to the portion where I was ready to admit to being an atheist, is I immediately cried, and then I got mad because I also felt that I was lied to. I felt betrayed.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, I remember because especially when I was in church and I was doing ministry work and I was doing the choir thing and teaching the children, and I would do vacation Bible school sometimes and like all these different things, and I bought into all the propaganda that was coming off of the pulpit. That's kind of why I was like really upset, concerning the woman that gave that money to Pastor Winans, Bishop Winans, whatever. Because like I remember giving money when I didn't have it to give.
Yeah.
I remember a few times leaving the church completely empty pocket because I believed that God was going to bless me. I mean, like I bought into that rhetoric. And then I realized, and then like, I'm like, I felt like I wasted time. Like I felt that, I've been bamboozled, run amok, led astray. The whole Plymouth Rock didn't land on me. I landed on Plymouth Rock. I mean, like I didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on me. I mean, all that like, and and then like, I remember it was this one pastor that was a Facebook friend that, I would find myself on online debates with him like all the time. And I even felt like you go every Sunday to your church and you lie to your parishioners. You lie to them about how they're going to be blessed if they do this. And you even lie to them about, what's going to happen to them after they're dead. And for what, like, what type of like, what type of reward do you get for the lying that you do every Sunday? And then like I even would point out like errors in some of his logic when it came to his reasoning for things, and I even like will point out like that's not what the Bible says, or you're like twisting it or things of that nature in order to fit your narrative. And he would tell me that, well, I have a master's in theology and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, what does that mean? So what?
Yeah, how does
So
that
you
matter?
right. This matters because why? I don't. I mean, just because you have a master's in theology and what have you, doesn't mean that you're right. Doesn't even mean
Right, it's
that
that claim that I have the credibility, so therefore you
Yeah,
have to
exactly right.
assume I'm right.
Right, that fallacy of authority.
Yeah.
I'm an authority on this, so you should listen to me. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, no, I'm not going to listen to you when what you're saying is wrong, and you're lying to your people every week. And
Mhm.
on Wednesday nights and all this other stuff, you're telling them that they do all these different things, then they're going to receive their reward in heaven. And the only thing that's going to the only thing that we know is that more than likely there is no heaven waiting for them. And how many times have they prayed about something and had to like reach for straws to say that God answered their prayer?
Yes. Well, yes, all the time. And then they'll excuse it if it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because, okay, well, that's because God had a different plan for me. There's never any blame ever to go around when it comes to God, right? He either answers your prayers because he's amazing, or he didn't answer your prayers because he's amazing. Like, okay. Yeah.
Where did they do that at?
Awfully similar to not being in existence at all, but okay, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna switch here to Scott and Larry. And Scott, I kind of threw you in there because you and I were talking earlier about how old we both are, and we're both basically the same age. Larry's a little bit older than us. But this is something that comes up. It says a lot of my childhood friends are becoming more religious as they grow older. This is actually quite common. Conservative religion, blah, blah, blah. It does tend to go hand in hand with people as they get older. Have you guys seen that? And if so, what are your thoughts? Is it just in heaven's waiting room and they're hoping to get in now, or what? Either one.
Go ahead, Scott. You probably have more childhood friends than I do.
No, actually, not very many at all.
I just saw a list of everyone from my high school class that has passed away. So,
yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with when you get in situations. The older that you get, especially when you move out of towns and stuff like that, your friends move off. Your friends groups get smaller, and you end up. A lot of people, when they get older, 50s and 60s, a lot of the community groups are religious based. So it plays more into the community than it does the actual belief systems a lot of times. And I think it also has a little bit to do with the same along the lines of the conservative, becoming more conservative. It's just like you got to a level where you're tired of learning new things and learning how to deal with new things. Mm-hmm. So like, you're just like, okay, this is my level. I'm done now. And then of course the Bible has always been there because we've always had Christmas and Easter and all this other stuff. So it's just kind of easier to fall back on because your television shows aren't coming out anymore. They don't make movies for you anymore. Mm-hmm. Music is not just for you anymore. And I think there's a lot of different factors at play there. And I think, I think having to deal with your own mortality might have something to do with it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it does flow hand in hand with the tendency for people to become more conservative as they get older. It's not that they're becoming less liberal. It's just that they've stopped being as liberal or progressive.
Mm-hmm. Mm. What's you, Larry?
Well, I think this is kind of like an unscientific question because first of all, I do have several childhood friends, especially high school friends, which was almost 50 years ago, on Facebook and everything. So there's a communication there. I don't sense that many of them are becoming more religious. However, that could be that they've distanced themselves from me because I'm not shy about being an atheist anymore. So
you're just not seeing it.
Yeah, they're hidden from me in that aspect. Mm-hmm. And there is a certain amount of, I got rid of some childhood friends because they were so tied up in their particular strain of a cult that they could not listen to reasonable arguments or have a conversation about it anymore. And would simply repeatedly make assertions and terrible fallacies and arguments with me about why their choice of specific Christianity was correct and that I was being misled by the devil or whatever their notion was. So I kind of think that question is faulty in that, as you grow older, perhaps some people have heard about childhood friends and how they, became a priest or, whatever later in life. But at the same time, you kind of naturally exclude knowledge of those people sometimes, both ways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's probably a segment of my childhood friends that don't know I'm an atheist and wouldn't know that I'm less religious than I used to be.
I'd be shocked.
The same way that I don't know if they're more. And I did find out probably 10 years ago that I had a couple of high school friends, when you started building your Facebook friends and stuff, that were actually identifying as atheists. So that was also refreshing.
I'm trying to think if I know anybody sort of as a childhood friend or high school or those early days that is an atheist. I don't know. Now it's actually a really good question. I have to think about it. I mean,
I've actually had some go the other way.
Later. What's that?
One of my college friends, he was vegetarian, atheist, like all of the hippie things. And now he's like this meat-eating leader of the church worship group, guitar player types. And I was like, what?
How did you get there?
It's the guitar.
It's
Well, the funny thing is, at one time he was dating the granddaughter of this like really like borderline snake-handedly church leader, and I think the lady that he's married to now was just like went to this large mega church and that he got involved in or something. So yeah, it was weird when he was a firebrand atheist while he was dating the one guy's granddaughter, and then just decided to join the church rock and roll group, I guess.
He got bit by the snake.
Snake of the Lord.
Yeah. Just like Ken Ham. Not Ken Ham, Kent Hovind. Just like Kent Hovind.
Oh, okay, Hovind, yeah.
Yep, got bit by a rattlesnake.
Scott, you and I both know a guy. Trying to think of how I could married to a woman named Dana at some point. I don't know if that helps without saying his name. But he was in Scott and I's world, and I'll have to fill Scott in later if he doesn't pick up on who this was. But he was, I would say he came across as very liberal, and he was kind of on the outside of the theater groups, which is a very liberal group. The woman he was married to, that I'm still friends with, everything was fine. And then he divorced that person and he started dating someone who's very religious. And now I don't really follow him that much, but he pops up on like Instagram or stuff like that. He's hardcore right wing. Do you know who I'm talking about, Scott? Yeah, like he's married to someone named.
Wait, don't we have private messaging?
Oh, that's true. I forget we have that. Hold on a second. Yeah. So Scott will know where I'm going from. You're right. Thank you, Scott. I didn't think about it. And you will see it. You're like, oh, that guy. Yeah, I told you.
I saw the beginnings, and I cut that one loose a long time
I saw
ago,
that.
so I don't know how far down the well.
Pretty far.
Yeah, that was a shame too.
But it was 180 degrees. I mean, he was, I would say he would be right in this conversation with all of us. And now he would be on the Karl Marx side. Okay. I mean, I can't tell if he was never really on our side or he became that because he started dating the woman he's still dating or married to. I can't remember. They did get married eventually. Who is very right wing and very religious, and his family was religious. He's also from Alabama, if I remember correctly.
No,
his family is very religious. He's not. I can't remember where he's from, but nonetheless, I met his sister. His sister was very religious, very nice woman, but she was super religious. But it was very interesting. Within a very short period of time, within a 5-year period, he went from this end to this end. And like you said, you haven't really kept up with him, and I have not kept up with him as much. But it's far right. It was just like, that is really an odd. And he's not. I think he's young. Well, he's younger than me. I don't know how much younger he is. Yeah. But it was interesting to see the progression. And it's kind of like, I think you were saying that, Scott, earlier. There's a social aspect to a lot of religion, going to the church and whatever, which then starts to spin into an echo chamber, right? It's like, I
Absolutely.
need for older people, like especially, I want someone to hang out with. My kids are grown and gone. They're doing their own things. I literally have friends that have died off, because you're 70-something years old. You can go to the church where there's a ready-made group of people and they're friendly to you and they have pancake breakfasts. But then, of course, it's like turning on Fox News and watching it 8 hours a day. You're eventually going to just start to parrot some of the things, and everyone that and all your friends are telling you this is how things are, and you start to believe it, and then you go back and you say the same things, and before you know, the whole thing just spins out of control. So I just wonder,
isn't that like a human quality? I'm sorry,
whichever.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I was talking about the same thing. It doesn't have to happen inside a church either, because I went to a senior center where at a very specific time before everybody sat down for dinner, they said they stood up and they said the Pledge of Allegiance, and then they said the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah,
it's not even like just the community inside the church either. It's what you're around a lot as you get older.
Yeah, it's an echo chamber. Yeah,
but isn't that not like a proclivity for human beings, regardless of age, for them to kind of like descend in that way? I mean, I think of, I remember when I first started doing activism work, and I was part of a group in Chicago called ADOS Chicago, and I remember we were advocating, for social justice, economic justice, for African Americans, descending from chattel slavery, all that stuff, and the cause that we were advocating for was good, but the rhetoric around it was not good.
Yeah,
and what I mean by that is that there was a lot of people in the group, and this came like even from listening to like some online talking heads that kind of like, started, this conversation happening again, that could be very vitriolic to Black immigrants, and also and then would like even kind of buy into like some of the talking points that 47 talked about concerning, immigrants taking Black jobs, which I still don't know what a Black job is to this day. One day somebody would tell me, but but I remember like a lot of times, and then I remember like one of the members said to me and my partner at the time, who was also an atheist, we were doing a YouTube show together, and they were saying that, we need to talk more like this to create our own echo chamber. And we was like, no, we don't want to do that. I mean, like, how are we going to be able to have like real proper conversations that can bring forth some type of result where we can, get at least on the same page on some things. We don't have to completely agree on everything, but we won't be able to teach, to learn, to anything like that if all we're doing is just like staying in our own echo chambers.
Yeah,
and
it's not a good place to be.
No, it's not. And I think, and I kind of look at that. Critical thinking and skepticism is not something that's like innately inherent in human beings. That's kind of something that's learned. Like, the
discipline of trying to critically think about things. Yeah.
I mean, because like we're so used to, you go to school and you're taught this, you go to church and you're taught this, and this is, and I mean, like, Mike, how old were you by the time that you knew the Eucharist and in Episcopal Church? Like, how old were you?
I don't. It's pretty young. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, it's pretty young, elementary-ish, give or take.
Yeah. And
right?
And I'm pretty sure you knew the whole Eucharistic,
the
mass at the time, like, for being at a very young age. I know I did.
Because you're going constantly. It's
you know,
repeating.
yeah, exactly. I still know the glory to God in the highest and peace to his people on earth. I mean, like, you know, I still know that. And even though I have not been in church formally for quite some time, but I still know that. Like,
Yeah.
because like this is the type of stuff that's like ingrained in us.
It's just over and over again. To
Yeah,
the point of where if I watch Star Wars and they say, "May the Force be with you," my immediate thought is, "And also with you."
And also with you, exactly. Lift up your hearts. We lift them up to the Lord.
Yeah.
Let us give thanks and praise for the Lord, whatever, and all that other crap that they say after that. But yeah, I mean, like, and I think that when that's what you know, even when you get older, you just kind of default to the stuff that you know. I think that's. I would even say, like, even though like I'm in my late 40s, I've seen like some other people that I went to high school with. I went to Catholic high school. I went to Catholic grammar school. I mean, like, I didn't really go to like a not Catholic school until I went to college. And I mean, and then like I would see like some of the Facebook friends that I grew up with that we found each other again, and that we were in, and they would. It seemed like that they kind of got more religious, more holy, whatever, the older that they got. And I think that it was just more so that, well, that's what I was taught. I'm older now, and and I kind of defaulted back to the things that bring me comfort because they are the same. And and then I agree with that whole social aspect of it. I mean, like, how many times have we said, like, it's not that the church does community better, it's just this they've been doing it longer.
We're more organized than we would ever get. And there's a common goal where we don't really have a goal as atheists. There's no goal to get us all into heaven. So there's not a rallying point that we can get atheists to rally behind. We were saying earlier, we had the party at our house last night. And my wife and I were talking after everybody had left. Again, this is like we started at 7 and it ran till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God!
Yeah, we missed a long party. We had a great party though.
Yeah.
But the amount of conversation that took over, what was that? That's 6 hours. The amount of conversation about atheism in that 6 hour period was this much. Just this. There was an occasional like, oh, okay, you're in the group. Oh, okay, but it would pop up, but it was every other thing, every other possible human thing, a movie or their car, or where they do for a living. Or I had a whole 20-minute conversation with a guy who was here I just met last night about Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, I guess I'm in this conversation now. I've never played that game in my life. But he told me more than I could ever. And it started in Wisconsin. Mike didn't know that. So apparently Dungeons and Dragons started in Wisconsin in the 70s. Alrighty. Yay for Wisconsin, but it's like that has nothing to do with atheism. It's just we have, we don't have a central goal. We just happen to be human beings, have this one little aspect, and people think that this is all we do because we're on this group and we're doing this video. But 23 hours of the day, I don't think about it. It doesn't come up. It's when I'm editing or I'm talking to one of you guys, maybe, but that's a bit,
And I think there was at least one glaring similarity to a religious gathering last night, though, Mike.
What was that?
You thought about at least 30% of the conversation was about food.
We had lots of food, and we all had wine, so that was nice.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, I'm sorry that I really hate that I missed that. I was more so kind of aiding my son in his stomach issues. But as you see, he's fine now. But it happens. But yeah, but there was a comment that who is Karl Marx made that I kind of agree with. If you want to put up, of course, because atheism prescribed no duty, obligation, meaning, purpose, or direction. And yeah, I kind of agree with that, because atheist is not. It's not about duty. It's not about purpose or direction or anything. Like it's a position.
Yeah.
I mean, it answers one question: do you believe in a God or gods? No. Moving on.
Yeah. Carl, moving on.
That's so well
we had
said.
a whole thing with Carl
Love
before you joined, but that's the one that was like, Carl, I don't think that's the flex and gotcha moment you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like, that's our point. That's exactly our point. Yeah. We're gonna
All
have to
right. Well, there you go.
address
All
Carl
right.
that much. He gets a little
No,
mad.
not that much, but yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, I completely agree with you, Carl. That's
Yeah.
exactly, you're right. It don't do none of that, because it's none of that. It's just
Yeah.
a position. I don't believe in a God or gods.
I'm going to move on, but real quick before I move on to the next thing, this is just for those of you watching at home or listening at home on the podcast. We would love to have you join the group in terms of be a subscriber. If you appreciate this kind of conversation, this is the sort of thing we do. We also do individual mic drops. We have atheistville.com where we have blogs and we repost these videos as well. Obviously, you're on the YouTube channel now, or you're listening on a podcast. But if you appreciate this sort of thing, even if you disagree with us, which is fine, we welcome you to join and make sure you do comment and like. Especially on the YouTube where I see the most of the comments, I respond to the comments almost 100%. Like I just literally miss it, even if we disagree. And I always respond civilly to you, even if you're not civil to me. I will respond civilly back. So I appreciate that. And tell other people about the show. If you know somebody else, like, yeah, I think my buddy John would like this show. Let John know and have him join on our next one. Also, reach out to me through any of these different places if you think you would be interested in doing a show like this, where you would like to be a panel member in the Unholy Roundtable. We would love to talk to you about that and see if that would be a good fit for you. So, end of that commercial. Let me pull up this one. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I just thought, I was like, oh, brother. This is, I did a video on this last week or something where I was like, that's me stretching for a point. Because this guy, you'll see, he is stretching to make this point. Unfortunately, though, I saw this same point made about 10 times since then and before then. So just watch it. It's ridiculous. Hold on.
Tend to forget about the whole No Kings Day. It's not just a shot at Trump. It's a shot at something deeper. They are mocking Jesus Christ. Think about it. They say no kings while living in a country founded under God's authority. Trump's just their excuse. The real target is the idea of having any king at all. And that includes the King of Kings, Jesus Christ.
Dude, come on, man. That is the stupidest thing. I was like, but if he had been the only guy, I'd be like, all right, whatever. I saw that multiple times from different people. So that must have been a talking point that went out after the No Kings thing. Come on, man. This is so dumb that we're trying to make it about no kings and Jesus. Like, again, you're stretching, bro. Calm down.
I thought Jesus was the Prince of Peace.
Yeah.
Not the Prince of Darkness, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It was Ozzy Osbourne.
The Prince of Darkness was way cooler. Yeah,
it's just a silly statement, but it's like, gosh, stop reaching. There's, that's such a stupid thing.
You know what I was thinking when I listened to that? Hey, Kitty. So how big was the mat that you had to flip to land that jump, sir?
Yeah. It was a bizarre route where to go with that. I mean, it's like you couldn't think. This is the other part that aggravates me. Those kind of things, like you couldn't think of a better reason to mock it, to disagree with it, whatever. You had to go with this religious component that is absolutely nothing. You're trying to squeeze it in, like shoehorn it in. Like if that's your only argument, which is not even a real argument, then you must not have a really good objection to this, right? I mean, or you just stated that. When you stretch out to these extremes that they sometimes come up with, like you obviously don't have a good argument because you had to pull in just nothing and out of whole cloth. It's ridiculous. Like I said, we're not spending time on it. I just thought it was dumb. Group question. This comes up all the time. You're trying to force people into your atheism. No.
Right.
Have anybody ever been?
Never comes up.
Yeah, that was.
I've never knocked on someone's door and said, "Hey, would you like to learn about the Big Bang?"
Yeah.
I know.
Would you like to learn about the globe?
Yeah.
I want to learn about physics or quarks or
Yeah.
Yeah, I never knocked on the door and said
you don't see a E = MC² necklace on me.
No.
Right.
You don't
I
see any of that
I got a
stuff.
necklace. It's a flower. Like,
I mean, I have this hat on.
I would
for this show. I'll
Yeah.
take it off. It will sit over there, and I'll put on my Cubs hat when I leave the house. You know.
I got my
I've
Black
never-
Non-Believers T-shirt on, but that's because I went to go speak as a representative to Black
It never comes
Non-Believers.
up.
I've
Yeah,
never offered to sleep with someone if they become an atheist.
No.
Like the what's that? Children of God? Is that what the cult is that does that? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm happy if that's if that's what it takes. You know? But yeah, I'm doing my part for the
no
world.
kink shaming.
Yeah, exactly. No kink shaming.
Never.
But
No
yeah,
kink
that
shaming.
that comment is not uncommon that we're trying to force it, which is so bizarre. Again, Scott and I said what was 7 churches between our house, our houses that were a mile and a half. 7 churches, not 7 atheist centers.
Right.
7 churches. So who's trying to persuade who here? And 7 churches in a southern city, which is everyone has heard of Jesus down there. Trust us. They've all heard. You're not breaking new ground with your new church that's going to give a new version of the word, right?
Yeah.
But
When's the last time you heard about in history a group of people going around saying going into other continents and saying stop believing in God?
Yeah. Yes. Our missionary work that goes out and speaks to some sort of tribal person
doesn't exist.
Talk them out of.
We
their
don't have
God.
great big illuminated torture devices on the top of what we consider holy buildings,
right?
No.
3-story ones in the middle of Indiana, someplace. Yeah.
Isn't that just weird when you really think about it? That you're lauding a symbol of capital punishment.
It's an odd thing. I don't get it.
Did you
I
guys
think that'd be the
happen to
last
see the little meme that I posted in the group?
I don't know.
Of the aliens standing there and they're looking up at the cross and there's a person nailed to it. Their ship is in the background and it says, I know one thing, something about one thing's for sure is we need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
There's
down
totally.
and it seems like bigger is better. I know down in southern Missouri where my dad was from, if you're coming up Highway 65, which is the main highway between Branson and Springfield, you'll come up a hill, and on top of the hill is enormous white cross. I don't even know how tall it is, but it's many stories tall. But from the angle of the highway, if you're driving north, it looks like it's sitting on top of the Phillips 66 station. It's like 20 stories tall.
It's American Jesus and oil.
A giant, so many stories tall torture device.
It's
And
odd.
that goes right back to that thing that I said earlier. There's not a single thing that a Christian or anyone from any religion that they can do that's good that I can't. But I'm just not down with torture devices, and I'm not down with looking at a brand new baby boy and saying, hey, let's sexually mutilate him, eating blood and or drinking blood and eating the body. It gets so old and I get so tired of saying it, but people need to hear it.
Yeah.
Or if you're more Baptist, it's bathed in the blood.
Bathed in the blood.
Washed in the blood of the lamb.
Washed
in the blood of the
If
lamb.
I told somebody tomorrow that I want to take them somewhere so that we can pretend to eat dead people,
right?
Ancient dead people.
Ancient dead people bathed in blood.
Yeah,
there was a comedian, Mitch Hedberg, who's dead now. But he's like, his point, I think it was Mitch's thing. I may be mixing him with another guy. But it was like, it'd be like JFK coming back and everybody's wearing necklaces with sniper rifles on them. Like that would seem inappropriate. It's a weird, like, why are we, I've never really gotten it. It makes no sense to me. That's a very
I almost
strange
feel
thing,
like
the
the
whole
people
cross
who,
thing.
I kind of think that the people who are like, Second Amendment advocates, they probably have, rifle gun necklaces around around them.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure that they do.
they don't need a necklace. They just open carry.
that part right there. Yeah. Well, unless that like they want to also show off their jewelry to show like how much they're like.
Well, they have
really
NRA
into
stickers on their car.
that
Well, that's
too.
your shoulder now, right?
And also like the hats and
Yeah.
the t-shirts and all that other great stuff. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of liken to the whole thing about you're trying to convert people to being atheists. It's just that they just can't wrap their minds that atheists exist. Like, how can you not believe in a God? And just because you happen to mention that if it comes up in conversation, it's not something that I mention to people.
Doesn't have no.
Yeah,
Never
oh, by the by, hey, my name is Cynthia and I'm an atheist. Like, no, that doesn't happen. I just say I'm Cynthia. If it comes up, I mean, like most of the time that I really talk about atheism or per se is like when I'm on stuff like this. Hey, Kitty.
Yeah.
And that's Kitty. And also like when I'm like maybe at like a convention or stuff like that, or like I'm in a group or something. But like I mean, like everyday life, like you said, it doesn't come up. I don't have a sticker. I mean, like I got a button on my jacket sometimes, but like but like other than and it's not. It's part of my life, but it's not my entire life.
Right. And I think people misunderstand because I'm obviously running this whole channel, right? So they think that this is all I think about. And I will say that I think about the channel a lot because it's just the effort of putting these things together and editing them and doing all that kind of stuff. But it's not my philosophy on that. It's not something that comes out very often at all. Like you said, because we're doing these things, we talk about it a lot, but outside of this sort of thing in the bubble of my room where I have edited these things, no one would really know. The only reason that like the whole point of this show and this channel is to normalize us equally with everyone that says they are this, that, or the other. And I think we were saying this last night, Larry. I remember if it was you or somebody else in the conversation. If two people were to just start talking and one person said that they were a Catholic, for whatever reason it came up, and I say I'm an atheist, and then the next thing he says, that's cool. Do you like Italian beef or would you rather have something else for lunch? Because the two facts that one's religious and one's not is just a bit of information about them, but it has no more bearing on the rest of the conversation. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you this, since we have a visual display here. We all recognize when someone's wearing a cross, chances are it's not just decoration. They're at some level believing in Christianity. They may be very, very like my in-laws church like 2-3 times a year, but they would have a cross or a saint medallion, whatever.
Right.
But right now, if Michael went out to Clark Street and walked around, how many people do you think would recognize that his hat is an atheist symbol? True.
I mean, I think nobody would,
Right.
I mean, atheists don't always recognize what it is,
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
So we're either doing a bad job at marketing or we don't care.
Or both.
Yeah. You're right. And I don't actually wear it out just because I'm not trying to like make a point. I just, it's a hat and I got a million hats. Just I collect them when I go wherever. I mean, I actually have a DePaul hat because I took some classes at DePaul, which is a Catholic university. I like it because it has a demon on it, which is strange. I thought it was because they're the demons. I'm like, what? They're Catholic.
Blue demons.
Yeah. Blue demons.
It's like, okay, all righty. But it's a cool looking hat. It's right there on my shoulder. Let's see. I'm going to do, actually, I'm going to wrap it up with one very quick video. We're going to end up on a high note here. And then we're going to, I'm just going to do this. I think you guys will appreciate this.
Taylor Swift's new song, Wood. She compares Travis Kelce's penis to a redwood tree. But I want to talk to you today about someone else who enjoyed working with wood. A carpenter from a little town called Nazareth.
Jesus Christ.
It was ridiculous. Like that was every youth pastor trying to take everything he can and work it way back to Jesus,
I
I should appreciate that, Cynthia. Yeah. I just always feel I didn't have a lot of youth pastors in the Episcopal Church, but I know in Catholic churches there's always the cool guy. He's the cool guy, and he's got the guitar, and he wears like flip flops or whatever. He's got an earring, and then everything has to twist back, to Jesus somehow.
Oh
That's
my
perfect.
God, that was
Taylor Swift.
great.
Yeah,
That was so great. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Thank you, Mike. That made my day. Yeah, the cherry on the top of the day. Thank you.
No
So,
problem.
real quick, Mike, before we go, you don't happen to have Jesus Ween queued up, do you?
I don't have it queued up, but it did drop. Right. Actually, I reposted it today on the channel.
Yeah,
the Jesus Ween instead of Halloween. They Jesus Ween, which is funny. Actually, someone commented. I should have had it pulled up. Someone did comment that the "een" part, it's Halloween, right? So he's like, "Who the hell is Jesus?" Whoa. Because they're adding "een." Like, yeah, you're right. It's like I didn't think about that. It's like so they actually added the word "ween" to Jesus to make it Jesus Ween. Yeah, I was like, you guys, again, why didn't you run that by a 9th grader? That is the worst possible name you come up with your little alternative Halloween.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
well,
always shoving your wing down my throat.
Did they realize that the church started it to begin with?
That's what somebody else said. It's like, yes, it's like its roots are in the church anyway. It's like they run from it with the trick or trunks and all this kind of bullshit to get away from it, But yeah,
the Catholic Church purposely tried to place the date of All Hallows Day to coincide with Samhain, and then just you might try that crap with Christmas, but leave the witches alone, bro.
Yeah. And I always wonder what they're so afraid of. Like, even if you believe in witches, which is ridiculous, or ghouls and goblins and blah, blah, blah. Like, what are you really afraid of? Isn't your God more powerful than that? I mean, I guess we're susceptible. We're going to just follow witches. Does anybody follow witches? Really? I mean, we've had Halloween now, at least my entire life. Nobody's following witches. It's so...
Exodus 22 specifically says, suffer not a witch to live. So witches are a real, Exodus 22:14, I think.
Oh, it's one of the big problems with the people going to Africa, especially, and proselytizing, where they would say, you have to cast out the witches, and it was a horrible situation.
People died.
Now, once again, it's just blood on the hands, blood on the hands, blood on the hands. The only thing I've had in my hands when I tried to talk to somebody, if they ever asked me about atheism, was a physics textbook. That's the best that they got from me. I got no blood on my hands.
Yeah.
I'll have to find it, Scott. I don't know where it's at. My King James.
I wanted to go back to something that you said, Larry, about the witches in Africa. Because since colonization, you have like a pretty sizable population of like evangelical Christians in several different African countries, and I know like specifically there is an advocate named Dr. Igwe, Leo Igwe, who is an advocate for people who are basically targeting women, accusing them of being witches, and like they suffer greatly because they make this whole thing about they're trying to do spells and things like that, and it's against Jesus or it's against like whatever, it's either against Jesus or against Islam, because those are the more prevalent religions in their region. And like a lot of them, like they'll get tortured, some of them get killed, they get cast out of families, like all these different things. And so they have like an advocacy program and an organization to protect these women who have been targeted, by various places and people, calling them witches, which is insane when you just think about like not the whole Horn of Africa, but like ancestral worship was like a definitely a thing before you had like colonization, right? And even with that, like communing with like the spirit world or where your ancestors were and things of that nature, was a way that like the people in and of itself had ties to their land, ties to their lineage, and drew strength from it. And the people who were considered like the griots, like the shaman per se, and like the women who did this work, now because of the colonization with the introduction of missionaries and Christianity, and just basically like making these people like convert by hook or crook, that now the very thing that helped like really define them as a culture is demonized. And another reason why I'm not a particular fan of religion. Just
well, then you have the other direction. Like I don't know what part of the country you're from, but in the like the south, the center south, the Gullah Geechee that came out of the hoodoo and the voodoo, and how the Western African folk medicines and things like that actually adapted to the religion. So there's like literal, mojo bags and stuff like that from someone talking about how Jesus is Lord while they're doing a ring shout, and like they're weird ways that they tie them all together too, because you have to figure out how to make them work to keep your own sanity sometimes.
Well, Scott, I'm in Chicago too, born and raised here all my life, but my I know my dad is from the South. He was originally from Memphis, and my mom is actually from Jamaica. I know, like, quite further south,
a little bit further south.
Yeah. Matter of fact, it was interesting. My mom had a picture. I didn't always care for that picture. Sometimes it kind of scared me growing up. But she had like this painting that she bought in Jamaica, and it was of a obia ceremony. And obia was basically what they call like voodoo. In Jamaica, and it's kind of interesting that like the way that obia, more so like hoodoo and voodoo and santeria, that that you would find in like Caribbean countries that were predominantly first conquered and colonized by the Spanish, would take like those West African religions and worship and marry them with like Catholicism and Christianity. And I mean, like, Santeria, they would pray to saints and like the deities as well, and they would, and that's definitely the thing. I mean, and if you think about going back to Samhain, that was originally where like, Halloween came from. That's basically what the Catholic Church did in order for them to get pagans to be more so on their side. Hey, we'll go ahead and adopt some of your holidays and then like meld it into our own so that we can get more people on our side to do the thing.
Isn't that actually a lot of Christianity? Well, I guess probably all related, but they absorb some of the old stuff, make people feel comfortable. They don't have to get rid of everything, pull it into the new one, combine it, mix it up, and then they spit out a new religion, right? Isn't that kind of what a lot of religions do? That's why people say, well, there's a common story around all the world. We're like, well, yeah, because they get adopted and they get changed and whatever. But it's a way to introduce a new religion by kind of absorbing the old ones or chunks of it, right? It's not such a sudden change, right?
Yeah, so, I think with a lot of the Christian stuff, like the specifically Christmas and Easter, Christmas went after, trying to remember the pagan holiday, Saturnalia.
No,
like specifically put
the Roman holiday. Yeah.
Specifically put it there to overpower it. Same with the spring, the Easter being the fertility festival of
oxes.
Ishtar. I thought it was Ishtar.
I was thinking it was the Egyptian Oster, Oster.
Yeah,
but it's like always like that. And like Halloween, it was All Hallows Day, and I think it was given a date, but then it was specifically moved to be adjacent to Samhain.
Oh, okay.
So that it could overtake the Samhain celebrations and stuff.
Yeah,
and then put All Saints Day next to it to make it more, palatable to the Christian religion.
All Hallows Day, you started doing things the night before, which was All Hallows Evening, which became Halloween.
Yeah. And
they do the exact same thing with the building of churches. They build the churches right on top of the sacred pagan sites. That was the normal thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why you have some cultures where there's multiple religions over top, right? You just keep layering it on top of the old one, right?
And then they marry each other's, some philosophies and rituals and make it their own. It's kind of what humans do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just noticed something.
What's that?
What's his name? Carl says Christianity wants you to come through God through your own free will. So physical force is thrown out the window. So you understand what I just said. None of what you just said makes any sense. just gonna go there. Yeah. I had to do it. Sometimes I'm sorry, but I see that chat roll by and it makes my head hurt sometimes.
Sometimes I just have to like, all right,
take your glasses off. Take your
glasses. Take them off again.
I saw you do it a couple times, Scott. I saw you do it a couple times.
Like take the hearing aids out, take the glasses off,
just take them off.
Yeah.
Right, like everything is like
really nice. It's really awesome talking with everybody again tonight. It's really great.
Yeah.
I love it.
All of you guys, thanks for joining in. So we'll wrap up tonight. It was a good 2 hours or so run. But again, for those of you watching at home, thank you so much for tuning in. We enjoy doing these shows. It gives us a chance to answer some of these questions from you. These are all questions that someone has submitted or we've seen somewhere that's a common question. So we enjoy giving our responses so people can get a sense of where we got 5 people on this call tonight, where we all come from. We don't always come from the same spot. We all have different backgrounds, but now you have a sense of what 5 average people in different parts of the country, what we think. It's maybe not what you think we thought. You've been told what atheists tell you. Carl has been very clear. He knows more about atheism than we do. So sometimes that's the impression you get. But we're average people. We're normal people. Larry's got a cat there on his lap. Cynthia's got a little baby running around, normal people. So we're just trying to normalize that. But again, we appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you, leave us a comment, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel. We're always happy to have you, regardless if we agree or not. Check out our blogs at atheistville.com. Again, Mike just wrote a couple blogs pieces for that. I write them usually every week. I think that's about it. We got another video that comes up on Wednesday. I do mic drops, a little bit more of a social commentary that's within the atheist realm, but it's more social commentary. But again,
to my channel too.
Oh yes, and again, tell us the name of your channel again. The
Roots Matter.
The Roots Matter. It's Cynthia's channel over at YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to her channel. Watch her videos. Those are fantastic. Anybody else? Anything else they want to plug real quick before we go? Scott, you got a play coming up, or you just wrapped up your play? Nobody's in.
I just wrapped up my play. I'm decompressing.
Just decompressing, yeah. You need a gap between plays, because if you do, I'm sure you've done. I mean, you do back-to-back plays. Like I don't know what character I'm in right now. I don't know if I'm in that Scott character or if I'm in, Caesar or what the hell I'm doing. Yeah. My dialogues are all mixed together. Like it's ridiculous. Yeah.
Great Caesar's Ghost.
Yes, great. Jesus go. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining in tonight, and we will see you guys on the next one. And for the 4 of you, hang out in the green room, and we'll talk to you in just a moment.
Thanks for tuning in. I really hope you enjoyed that. If you have a question for me or any of our guests, make sure you drop a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Hey, and do me a favor, like and subscribe. That really helps us out, and it helps us bring you more conversations from beyond belief. And in the meantime, take care, and remember, reason and compassion go a very long way.